Welcome to Marketplace Tech Bytes, our weekly review of some of the biggest stories making headlines across the industry. I'm Lily Jamali. This week, OpenAI's ChatGPT celebrates its first anniversary. Fast fashion retailer Shein confidentially files for an IPO, and Elon Musk lashes out as advertisers flee X. I'm joined this week by Natasha Mascarenhas. She is a reporter at The Information. Hey, Natasha.
Hey, Lily. Thanks for having me. Busy week.
It is a busy week, and we're so glad to have you along for the ride this week. We're going to start, as always, with our Bite of the Week. This is where we ask our guests to give us a number that offers some insight into the week in tech. Natasha, what do you got?
Yeah, so I have one number for two reasons. My number is 5. That's how many days, it was in fact a little less than 5 days that Sam Altman remained as ousted OpenAI CEO before returning. It's also the same amount of days that it took for 1 million people to sign up for ChatGPT. So 5, lucky bite this week.
A twofer, I love it. Well, we are now at 100 million users of ChatGPT, so quite a success story for this company, OpenAI. One of the things early on, to your point about how quickly this caught on, early on, ChatGPT got some criticism for this pesky issue of it generated information that looked like it was correct, but actually was not. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, how much better has ChatGPT gotten over the last year?
Yeah, I think part of the magic of ChatGPT is that it naturally will get better as time goes on. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's still good at math or will not continue to have some sort of inaccurate information when you ask it prompts. And so I personally still use it directionally, but part of generative AI is that it can learn from itself. And so you can actually tell it, hey, that was actually wrong. Can you rewrite that? And this time be more accurate or pull from this source. And so I would say it has to technically be better than when it first started.
Yeah, getting better all the time. Well, longtime tech analyst Gene Munster said ChatGPT's release marks the first time a non-techie person has been able to interact with AI. Is there any disputing the idea that the release of this product has been one of those generational inflection points in tech?
I think the reason, like you're saying, the reason it caught on was it didn't take a huge leap or even more than a few clicks to use the platform and see its impact. And so to me, accessibility is transformation. And so 100% feels once in a lifetime. Of course, lots of debates on the AI itself and how transformational we will see ChatGPT be used day to day in our jobs and our personal lives. But just in terms of the interactions and the fluency that people are having around AI, I feel like we can confidently say it was a generational shift. At least that's what investors are saying when they're throwing lots of money into startups building on top of it too.
Yeah, well, it certainly feels like it on the user end as well. Let's talk about the drama in the C-suite at OpenAI, shall we? Wednesday night, Sam Altman, who is back, as you mentioned, as CEO, he sends this memo to OpenAI workers. I found out about this from your Twitter feed, Natasha. So thank you for that. She's a good follow. There is so much in this memo, but what you flagged, and I think rightly so, is Microsoft with its 49% stake in OpenAI is not getting a seat on this board. What is their role going to look like going forward?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's the story that keeps on giving. When it comes to Microsoft, it's a good reminder that it is the biggest shareholder in OpenAI. It has more than a 49% stake in its profits. And when Sam Altman was originally removed, all eyes were on Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella asking, why didn't you know about this? And how are you going to make a change?
Completely blindsided this coup.
Completely blindsided. And it then led to him spending, working through the weekend like a lot of us were, negotiating behind the scenes. And he was a big figure in getting Altman back, according to our reporting. When it comes to Microsoft's current role at OpenAI, last night we reported that they are going to have a non-voting observer seat on the board, which means, again, not voting. So it won't be able to vote on matters, but it will be privy to information, which is more than it had before. OpenAI is also looking to still hire more board members. And so far, a few people have been considered: Yahoo former CEO Marissa Mayer, Laureen Powell-Jobs. And so I do think things are still in flux, like you're saying. And Microsoft, we have at least some clarity. They will have some sort of perspective and eye on the board, which is more than we could have said a week ago.
Yeah, and that is a stated task for this company now, finding a diverse set of board members for what is right now a very undiverse slate of directors. Well, on to our next story. The ultra-fast fashion retailer Shein confidentially filing for an IPO this week. Explain for the non-teens and young adults that might not be familiar with Shein, what is the story with this company and how did they get to this $66 billion valuation that's being reported?
This company has hundreds of millions of customers around the world. Largely, I would say thanks to TikToks and Instagrams. It's a place you can go for fast fashion at cheap prices, sometimes cheaper than Amazon, sometimes cheaper than other companies. I mean, it bought a stake in Forever 21 recently. And so you can think of Shein as pretty synonymous with the fast fashion movement. And in a world that still has a lot of consumption, a lot of trend-based fashion, it has gotten a valuation that matches, I think, the fervor around it. That said, it's not a non-controversial company. I mean, it's had a ton of controversies over the past few years. Everything from claims that it used forced labor to manufacture its products to, stealing designs of smaller designers. As we hear that it's eyeing an IPO, it's doing everything one would expect, which is it's trying to clean up its act. It's trying to explain that it is doing better. It actually relocated its HQ last year to Singapore, which I would see as trying to address some of the stress and scrutiny that China-based businesses or businesses with roots to China are getting from the US right now. And so we are starting to see it prepare. And so I wasn't surprised at all when I saw the news that it had confidentially filed for IPO.
Yeah, well, quite a fan base for this company, hundreds of millions of customers worldwide. And to your point, social media playing a really big role in that. Well, finally, we enter the not safe for work portion of this week's Marketplace Tech Bytes. Elon Musk with some choice words for advertisers fleeing X after he endorsed an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory on the platform. GFY is as far as I will go in terms of summarizing his comments. This was in an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin during the Deal Book Summit on Wednesday night. Natasha, first impressions on what we witnessed that evening.
I mean, great TV, first and foremost, which maybe we're not surprised by based on the Twitter feed we see from Elon Musk at all times. He always has something to say. And so my first impressions of that interview were, I was a little shocked by how direct he went, especially with Linda Yaccarino, an advertising executive known for her advertising chops in the audience. But maybe that's naive of me to think that I should be surprised. To me, the stakes are high, right? I mean, the New York Times reported that more than 100 brands have halted their ads and the company is at risk of losing $75 million by the end of the year after a recent Elon Musk tweet that called an anti-Semitic post, quote, the actual truth. And so the money is definitely leaving in a lot of ways. And so to have him double down on specifically advertisers leaving and being nonchalant about it, or explicit about it rather, to me felt like a really important tension to pay attention to.
Yeah, well, Linda Yaccarino in damage control mode after this all went down. As you say, she's in the room, and afterwards she tweeted reminding that Elon Musk did apologize for this tweet, but not sure how much traction that's going to get with advertisers. The last Elon Musk tweet that I have seen as of this taping is a reminder about the Tesla Cybertruck deliveries starting this week. Oddly enough, not many people are talking about that, given all the other news that Elon Musk is making, which makes me wonder, what do you think all of this circus means for the many other companies that are not X that Elon Musk is running?
This is such a good question. Andrew Ross Sorkin asked Elon on stage, do you ever regret the purchase of X? You have all these other companies that you have been very intentional about. He pointed to Tesla. He pointed to SpaceX, which we reported had acquired a company for a large sum earlier this week. These companies are doing technical and specific things X feels almost off center for what Elon is used to doing. And, Elon didn't say anything, I would say, specific in response to that question. But from my perspective, him creating a circus around this, I think, just distracts from a lot of the great work that other companies are doing. And I'm sure ex-employees have a lot to say too. And so I'm waiting for the book that we see eventually that gets into what it feels like to be there.
There's going to be a lot of books written about the tech news of this week, I think it's fair to say.
So true.
And it is never a dull moment on the Elon beat. Natasha Mascarenhas, reporter at The Information, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us.
Thanks for having me, Lily.
It's been great having you. Thanks to all of you for joining us for Marketplace Tech Bytes Week in Review. Rosie Hughes produced our episode this week, and I'm Lily Jamali. This is 8 p.m.